If you had any doubts, fears, or uncertainties about the petition to bring back old game servers into RuneScape and what it stands for, I welcome you to listen to this full video. Now I know these are not all of the arguments, concerns, and uncertainties that are being circulated throughout the RuneScape community, but these are the most common that I have come across. Number 1. These servers would die out within the first 2 months and that would be a drain on Jagex. Just look at those RuneScape Classic servers. The first thing I want to ask you guys is, what makes you want to play a game? Seeing a game trailer, a video, reading about it? Bottom line is, if you see something that is exciting, eye-popping, then you are more inclined to play that game. That's what the video community's legacy brought to RuneScape. It brought players to the game. And to be slightly biased, a lot of those people were PKers. With the return of these old servers, you would see the return of both veterans and prominent modern era day PKers, skillers, ancient players, people from other gaming communities who would be constantly promoting and advertising the game for its growth, and that includes in the evolution of combat. But most of all, outside of the PKing community, you would see the return of Swomey, the #1 player in the entire game, come back to the game in full force. He also makes videos, by the way. When RuneScape Classic turned into RuneScape 2, it was a much smaller game than RuneScape is now. The PKing community on it, for instance, was much smaller, and since this was in 2001, there was no massive video community to support whoever remained on the server. It is true that the RuneScape Classic server doesn't have many people logged into it anymore. However, for everyone arguing that this puts a substantial drain on Jagex, it simply can't be. The RuneScape Classic servers have been around for years without anyone logging in, and if it were really that much of a financial drain on Jagex, they certainly would have closed it down by now. Keep in mind, we're talking about a company that needs things like Squeal of Fortune and Solomon's General Store to make extra money, so I'm certain that they would cut anything that wasn't worth their time. The second argument I've been receiving is 2006 or 2012 or 2008 or 2010. What types of servers are you petitioning for, Matt? Here's the thing, guys. The main objective of this petition is to get the pre-EOC combat system back. Once Jagex acknowledges this petition, my guess is that they'll put out a series of forum threads or polls to decide exactly what time period we want. If they couldn't make a legacy version of RuneScape available, such as the RuneScape 2006 version, and instead all they had was a 2011 or 2012 version of RuneScape, I would gladly take that. Number 3. But the PKing community in 2012 wasn't really that good either. Yes, that is true, but here's why. The lack of a PJ timer. PJing, rushing, and ragging effectively destroyed the hybrid and edge PKing community slowly over the course of 2011 and 2012. It's actually really sad because all we needed was a simple update in order to see the return of hybrids, veteran edge PKers, and an honor system in the wilderness. We finally got the timer in the evolution of combat, and I have to say that I really like the fact that this more complicated combat system was coupled with the PJ timer, but in all honesty, it was far too late. If we had November 19th, 2012 pre-EOC Worlds with the PJ timer, the PKing community would be back in full force and thriving, and I 100% know this for a fact. Now this is just one possibility. Of course we have the 2006 option and 2008 option, which is more for a nostalgic purpose, but also holds true to PKing as well. Argument number 4. Jagex will not listen to this petition. People keep throwing out the claim, even if it gets your 25,000 signatures, that's only 25% of the player base, because I see 100,000 players online. First of all, the real concurrent player base is only comprised of a maximum of 60,000 legitimate players. The rest are bots. But still, where we are right now, just the 30,000 who have signed it, would be equivalent to at least half of the EOC player base. Now, keep in mind, this update does not remove the evolution of combat, so it would have no effect on these players whatsoever anyway. However, even so, we are going to get more signatures than the active player base eventually. The petition is still up. We are going to aim for that 100,000 signature mark over the next couple of weeks, and we'll easily get it. Guys, you have to understand that when 100,000 people agree to give you extra money for something, when it doesn't affect the 60 or 80,000 people who are already giving you money for something else, you're gonna listen. Keep in mind that they are hurting, guys. They need a way to make money, and instead of spinning the wheel or buying those very manipulative cosmetic upgrades, we would be paying for a cause that will restore the community. The whole thing I've been trying to get at with this petition right now is that the community in RuneScape is kinda struggling, but by banding together and collectively working towards this goal, we can restore it. Almost everyone in the RuneScape YouTube community has made a video about the petition, and it's received almost universal support from their subscribers. If we start having doubts though and giving into cynicism, then this will be more difficult. We have to go big or go home on this one, and we will be hurt. Argument number 5, will we have to start fresh on these old game servers? Well, we might have to, or we can still lobby for character copies. I don't see a problem with copying our stats over, however we probably would have to start with wiped banks. There have been a lot of new items introduced into the game, like offhand weapons that wouldn't be able to copy over. Also, a lot of items have been devalued and added into the game. Still, I think a lot of people would be okay with making their money over again. I know I certainly would. If we voted for a 2006 version of RuneScape, then I know we would have to start fresh on those servers, including stats, to ensure the purity of a thriving community. Overall, this is definitely an argument that would still need to be debated, to ensure that it's done right. Argument number 6. There will be no updates on this server. You will all be crying for them eventually. Outside of the need for a potential bot nuke or basic moderation, we won't need anything. Haha, bot nukes are an update! Yeah, sure, but there are 60,000 new players concurrently playing on these new worlds. Jagex is going to be doing things to maintain those people, regardless, because it's worth their time and money to do so. And if they don't get the players, like some people seem to think, then they won't maintain them. It's quite simple logic if you think about it. Either the servers are making them heaps of money and they can put a small amount of that into maintaining them, not do updates, or no players are on them and then they wouldn't need to spend time maintaining them in the first place. Argument number 7, the biggest argument I've gotten. The community would be split if they added old game servers back into RuneScape. I regret the phrasing I used in the original video. I didn't mean to say split as in against each other. I meant to say split as in separate. If anything, adding these old game servers would add substantially to the overall community. Why do I say this? Because you will see the return of a lot of players that played when the game's community was so great. Right now, they're not even here to have any positive effect. This will go a long way to restoring Jagex's credibility. I've been taking a look at the forums, and both sides of the old game server argument have cynical views towards Jagex themselves. By adding these old game servers, the faith in Jagex as a company that responds to their player base will be heavily restored. This would mean that those who are in favor of the EOC can see firsthand that if a lot of people really want a particular update, they can get it. They can take to the forums and spread their ideas about how to make the EOC better without having such a pessimistic view of the chances of it actually being heard. With this update, you would be given the option to cross over to either section of the game and play on the EOC or the old RuneScape. You would constantly see people logging in and off every couple of hours if they got bored, because that's the thing. If you enjoy both games, then this would be the most enjoyable and fun update in the world, because you would never get bored. There would always be an option, and the thought in the back of your mind that there's always something else that you can do on the game. Although you can do this on the game to some degree, the community would be stronger, and the community has gotten together for this. That shows that the community cares, and that the community is and will remain one and the same. Whether it be for the EOC or the old game, it's still the RuneScape community, and it's still the same game, RuneScape.